so we're just going to go through a couple steps to making eggshell calcium. Number one, you want to collect your shells. If you have eggs for breakfast, it's easy just to clean them up, put them in a glass jar, and store them until you've gotten, 10 to 12 eggshells is a good time to go ahead and make some calcium. It makes a good amount. Typically lasts you a good solid month if you're using, a couple quarter teaspoons a day. You want to get your water boiling. The reason we boil them is to remove any bacteria on the eggshells. So we're just going to drop these in here and bring them to a boil. I like to separate the eggshells a little bit just because they do tend to get clumped together. You can see some of these still have some of the remnants of egg in it, which will all be cooked off. These ones I cleaned pretty well. I'm a little picky about having my eggshells cleaned only because it eliminates a bigger mess when you're going ahead and boiling them. Will tend to not make as much of the white foam from the egg white or the membrane in the egg. You can see I'm kind of being particular about just separating them. It'll make your life easier in the end. A lot of the times they'll go ahead and clump back up anyway. You'll have to separate them after boiling, but you want to bring it to a nice solid boil. You want the eggs to boil for about 5 minutes. You can take a spoon and just poke them down in there. Make sure the eggshell actually gets into the water, is the point in the first place. And we're going to let those sit and boil for about 5 minutes. As you can see, we're bringing it to a pretty solid boil. So again, you want to make sure you do this for 5 minutes. If you keep your heat low enough, it's not going to overflow itself. And after that initial boil, you can see that all the foam kind of settled. So we have about another 3 more minutes here until we pull them out and we go into our next step. Okay, so our next step, once we've boiled them, is we're just going to lay them out on a cookie sheet. I like to lay them up face up just because it tends to dry them out a little bit easier. Just going to take them directly from there, spread them out. The thing I like about making eggshell calcium is that you only have to do it once every couple of months or once every month. So even though it's a little bit of a process, it lasts a long time. Can't remember what they said what one eggshell yields, but it is, I think, maybe 1 teaspoon of calcium, which actually is 4 times the recommended daily dosage. Okay, so we have them all on there, and now we're just going to pop them in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes at 200 degrees. Of course, all ovens are different, so what you're really looking for is crunchiness, drying them out. Okay, and our last step to making eggshell calcium is just using a coffee grinder or a Vitamix. I hear works really well. Some people even like to use a mortar and pestle. I think that's a lot of work and it's just a lot of work. So this is really the easiest way. We've kind of sacrificed our coffee grinder to eggshells. Just jam them in there. Whoops. Well, lost one. So just stuffing them in there. You can see that they get really, really crunchy. That's what you want in the oven. So again, I was mentioning that all ovens are a little bit different. That is what you are looking for, just a nice crunchy eggshell. We are looking like we're going to be able to get all of these in at one time. All that work, I'm going to make sure I get all of it, except the one that just got sacrificed on the ground. And grind it up. Couple pulsations, very helpful to get those more fine eggshell chunks. And voila, there you have your eggshell calcium. Drop it into a nice glass airtight container.